Alright, today's review, just picked this game up a few days ago, played through it, absolutely loved the game, I thought it was awesome. And it was BioShock Infinite. So yeah, brand new game, BioShock Infinite, and it's a lot, I'll say that. It is a lot of game. And anyone who's ever played any other BioShocks could probably have guessed that it would be. So, as usual, starting off with the cons. Again, this is another game that I found it really difficult to find good faults with. So, these faults really aren't going to seem like big deals because they really aren't. First off, having just finished this game, I have not had a chance to play through it a second time, and I really feel like I need to, because my first fault with the game is I'm still not 100% sure on what exactly happened. Now let me clarify and say that this game isn't confusing. No, it's not confusing, but it is at the very least hard to understand if you really aren't paying attention. Now, when I say hard to understand, I'm talking about the fact that this game deals with some really complicated storytelling, in the fact that there's a lot of uh, multiverse, multidimensional sort of quantum theory stuff going on. And if you played the game, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, I won't say more because I'm not going to spoil anything. I'm really going to try to keep this one spoiler free, like I usually do with most of my reviews. But this is a brand new game, so well, it's not brand new. It came out a couple weeks ago, but I'm sure a lot of people still haven't played this one, so I'm really gonna try to keep this one spoiler free. So yeah, I mean, I know what happened in the game. I can understand the story pretty well, but there's some little things that I just don't quite understand yet, and I feel like if I play through the game again, I might be able to figure it out. My second complaint with the game would be sometimes there's just a bit too much going on the screen at once. Every so often there's a little feeling of being overwhelmed with everything that's going on in the game, and not just like the amounts of enemies or all the stuff that's happening, but just all of the vigors, which if you played the old BioShock is the equivalent to plasmids. The amount of vigors that you can have at one time, like, and you don't have to buy vigors. You get them. You can just find them as you go through the game. So eventually you will have all of them at once, and it can just be a little overwhelming as to what you want to use in a specific situation. But yeah, that's those two things are really the only faults I can think of for this game. I mean, this game is, I thought, really well done. So let's get on to the good stuff. Before I really get into all the pros of the game, I'm gonna say one thing, and this really isn't a fault. This is just a disclaimer for anyone that wants to play this, and it's something that most people will already know if they've played the first two. This is a thinking person's game. This isn't just some run and gun, shoot 'em up. You really need to sort of plan things out. You really need to pay attention to things. Not just gameplay. As I've said, you really need to pay attention to the story in this one. And like I said, there's a lot going on, so you really sort of can't just run in there guns blazing. It's just not going to work. You're going to die a lot, and you're not going to have a fun time. Now, with that being said, if you bear this in mind, you really are going to have a really great time with this game. This game is just awesome. First off, the vigors, as I said before, work the same way. as plasmids did in the first two BioShock games. Um, these vigors are really fun to use, and with some of them they really kind of uh, got creative with it. And with the ones that will seem familiar, they are different to what you've seen in the old BioShock games. And I'm not gonna get into the particulars of any of them because I don't want to. Again, I don't want to spoil anything. If you really want to play this game, but just know that some of them can be really fun to use, especially if you take into consideration you're on a flying city. You can really sort of take advantage of this with some of these figures. And if you're a fan of the old BioShock games, I can guarantee you're not gonna feel real lost with this new one because a lot of the mechanics are the same, so you're not gonna have a problem figuring that out. And there's really not much different in the way of gameplay from the old BioShock games. So again, you're not gonna feel like you're struggling to figure things out if you've played the old ones. There are some differences to it though. I mean, they did manage to keep things a bit fresh. Some of them being the fact that you actually have a specific melee weapon, and also you don't pick up and store health kits or the equivalent of Eve hypos in this one being salts. You don't store any salts to replenish your vigors. All of this stuff is just sort of picked up and used immediately. And some of you might be thinking, well, that's not good. Why would they do that? What if I need one at a later time and there isn't anything around? One of the things I did to combat this, and one of the main differences to gameplay, is the fact that throughout most of the game you have a companion. The main girl on the box art, right there. For most of the game, she follows you around, and a lot of you are probably thinking, "Oh no, a companion! That's gonna be so annoying. I don't want to deal with that the whole time." But they actually managed to make a companion well in a game. Now, when I say that, I mean that you don't have to worry about her running off and getting herself killed at all. She doesn't have a health bar, and she actually helps you. A companion that actually helps you. Getting back to my earlier statement that everything gets auto-used and you can't store anything, and some of you thinking that, well, this is a bad idea. What if I need stuff at a later time? Well, while she's with you, she will actually find items during battles for you, and you have the option to have her throw them to you. So she'll find health kits if you need one. She'll find some salts if you need to replenish your vigors. She'll find ammo. And when you're not in combat, she'll actually find you some extra money. And she'll sort of find you some lockpicks and things. And she is actually your source of getting into some secret areas because she can pick locks, which is obviously what you need the lockpicks for. So yeah, she's actually a useful companion in a video game, which is I can't think of a really good companion that actually did things for you in a video game. So thumbs up there. Well, actually, I can think of one. Dexter in Jack 3 actually did some stuff for you, but it's a whole different thing. So yeah, I really can't think of a whole lot of good companions that were actually useful. Now, with that being said, some of you might be thinking, if she finds you things when you really need them, doesn't that start to make the game a bit easy? It really doesn't. What I said before stands. You really need to plan and think and be careful some of the time, because if she wasn't there to throw me a health pack every now and then, I would have died so much more than I did. I came to dying a lot of the time, and the fact that she was there really sort of saved me that frustration of having to respawn. And she's not there the whole time, so you really can't sort of start to lean on her and depend on her to be there, because there are segments where she won't be there. Again, not going to spoil anything, but it won't be just she's there and then she's not there for the rest of the game. No, it's she's there and then she's not there and then she's back again and then she's gone. You really don't know. I mean, as far as your first playthrough goes, you don't know when she's not going to be there, so you really can't sort of depend on her to be there and expect these little things getting thrown your way. So no, having this companion really doesn't make the game any all that easier, and that's a good thing. BioShock is not meant to be easy. As well as adding the companion into the game, they also added some other interesting game mechanics. One being the skyhook, which you can use to attach onto any sort of hook that's sort of suspended from a wall or anything like that, and use it to sort of get around in a really different way. Like, say, up high on a wall, there's a hook that you can see, and when you look up at it, it'll give you a prompt to attach to it, and your skyhook, which is also your melee weapon, you'll jump and attach your skyhook to this hook that's hanging there, and it sort of allows you to move around a combat situation in a different way, or get across from building to building, and it's just makes some things a bit more interesting. And your skyhook can also attach to some rails in certain parts of the world, and when you attach to these rails, you'll sort of move along them. I mean, you don't have to sort of keep yourself going. It'll just automatically keep you moving along these rails, and you can sort of control how fast or slow you want to go. And again, these rails sort of act as just different ways to move around combat situations, or moving between different areas. And in a combat situation, these using these hooks or rails presents you with an interesting combat scenario, in the fact that if you look at an enemy on the ground, you can sort of leap off this hook or rail down at the enemy and do a really heavy melee hit. The other new combat mechanic that they added, and this may spoil just a little bit, but in the game you'll come across what they call tears, and your companion can access these tears and sort of bring objects from other dimensions, I guess, into your combat situation. So you can have her sort of phase in extra areas of cover, or you can have her phase in hooks that you can attach to with your skyhook, or maybe some sentry bots, or even every so often she'll be able to pull in some medical kits, or some salts to replenish your vigor, and it just sort of adds an interesting layer to every combat situation. But again, this mechanic doesn't make things easier, because in each combat scenario you don't know exactly what you can bring in. There's only certain things, and when you look at the tear, it'll tell you what it is. Like it'll say, oh, this tear is medical kits, or this tear is a hook, and that's all that it will ever be. You can't just sort of like look at an area and be like, oh, I want this specific thing right here. It's sort of predetermined in where the tears are and what the tears will be. So instead of just sort of making you this sort of immortal god that can bring in anything that he wants, you kind of have to survey the area and plan out and use these tears to their fullest potential. And it's sort of again, this is for the thinking gamer. This isn't just for someone who's gonna run and shoot stuff, you know. So yeah, with all these new mechanics and new abilities to utilize, it really sort of brings a fresh take to the BioShock name, but also keeps enough of the familiar to sort of keep those fans of the old liking what they did with the new, and it really sort of turns into a really fun experience. And I'm gonna give this game 9.5 out of 10. I mean, this is a really awesome game, and I really enjoyed it, and I really want to get to a second playthrough just to see if there's anything I miss, and to see if I can figure out a bit more. That's all for today. I'll see you guys on Friday.